Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Village of Northfield regular council meeting of February 22nd, 2017. Could you all rise for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Niehaus,
Here.
Mr. Magistrelli,
Here.
Mr. Doherty,
Here.
Ms. Domzalski, here, Mr. Hips,
Here.
Ms. Noack, here, Mr. Voitush,
Here.
Mr. Bryan,
Here.
Lieutenant Zemek, Mr. Walters,
Here.
and I'm present.
Approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Domzalski for approval of the minutes of the February 8th, 2017 regular council meeting, seconded by Ms. Noack. Any questions, comments, or amendments? Hearing none, all in favor of approval?
Yes.
All opposed? The minutes are approved.
At this time, is there anyone in the audience that has anything for us tonight? Hearing none, moving on. Reports of the municipal officers. The mayor at this time does not have a report. Moving on to Tricia, Finance Director.
I don't technically have a report. I do have the need for a motion for payment for Squire Patton Boggs. They were the firm that assisted with the tax legislation regarding the Roxino. The reason for the motion is the amount of the check is $4,900 and it's a then and now. So the purchase was before the requisite or PO. So if I can have a motion for approval.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Magistrelli, seconded by Ms. Domzalski. And it is in the budget, so.
Yes. It's a
As
then and
Tricia
now.
said, it's a then and now, so technically, yes. It's over 3,000 and then and now, so. All in favor of approval?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed?
And that concludes what I have.
Thank you. Moving on to Mr. Wasowski, Engineer, who will be at our next regular scheduled council meeting. Brad Bryan, Law Director.
I have no report this evening, Mayor. There is some code amendment legislation, so I will explain those amendments during the legislative portion of the meeting.
Perfect. Moving on to department heads. Lieutenant Jamie Mackey, Officer in Charge, is not at this meeting. He'll probably be at our next scheduled meeting. Jason Buss is not present. We have Lieutenant Joe Zemek.
No report at this time, Mayor.
Jason Walters, Service and Building Superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Last meeting, I was asked to look into the recycling. Basically, we have 18 months left on the current contract, which I thought it was more, but it is 18. In that process, we really have to, they can't just give us a price, that's something that has to be bid. So the recommendation would be wait out the 18 months where we're currently doing what we're doing and then bid it at that time. However, they did get us some barrels delivered sometime today. I seen them when I came in, but we'll get them up here for the next meeting, just so you can kind of see. Then I would recommend that we bid out where we give a 96 quart tote or two and a 66 for the recycling. That's the way, but you know, we can get into that more. But at this time, the company really can't just give us a price for that without bidding, so.
Jason, I know that me and you talked about this ad nauseum today. You know, I really would like to look in options for us helping everyone in town with their rubbish. I just want to look into options. I think it might be good, you know, since we have the Hard Rock in town, to give something back to the community. I've always been for this. I know we've talked about this many times, and I would just like you to look into it, please.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. That's really all I have for this meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Reports of municipal boards and commissions. Mr. Hips, Planning Commission.
No report tonight.
Myself for the Recreation Board. We will have a full panel at the next Recreation Board, the first Thursday of March, which I do not have that date in front of me.
May 2nd.
May 2nd at 7:30 here at Town Hall.
Excuse
I
me.
mean, March, I'm sorry. I really want it to be May. I can't stand the snow, so. Okay, moving on. Mrs. Greenlee with the Cemetery Board. Mr. Magistrelli, do you have a report for Mrs. Greenlee?
Yes, I do. I talked to Mrs. Greenlee last week. I know that council asked about the budget for cemetery. The budget isn't complete yet. As for the fence surrounding the cemetery, that fence will not come down. That fence will stay up. It will go under repair and it will be under, and they will be painting and resurfacing it. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to reports of standing committees. Mr. Magistrelli of Finance.
Yes, we had a finance meeting this evening, and rather small till we get our budget in. And when we pass the budget, I'm sure it'll be a little bit larger. But everything went fine. Again, I thank Ms. Ingracia for making everything roll very smooth. Thank you. That's it.
Mr. Doherty of Roads and Public Works.
No report at this time, Mayor.
Mrs. Noack of Health and Welfare.
No report, Mayor.
Mr. Voitush of Wages and Working Conditions.
No report, Mayor.
Mrs. Domzalski of Fire and Safety.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Mr. Hips of Buildings and Grounds.
No report this evening.
Moving on to legislation. Brad?
Thank you, Mayor. First on... Hello? Thanks, Mayor. First on the agenda is Village of Northfield Resolution 2017-15, an emergency resolution setting forth the appropriations for the fiscal year 2017 and submitting the same to the county fiscal officer. I don't know what council's pleasure is this evening.
I'd like to make a motion to leave it on first reading for tonight.
Okay. Mr. Voitish would like to leave it on first reading. I don't know if anyone else. Is there- okay. All right. Any questions or anything on the budget? Or you want more time to review it? Or
Yes, after just receiving it tonight, there seems to be a few changes in the budget, and I haven't had time to go over it 10 minutes before the meeting.
The changes this evening, are approximately $412,000. I had to go over the numbers again with Rich for engineering for all of the projects that are being funded. So that is one of the changes. And also Mr. Hips requested $10,000 for,
Zoning overlay district.
thank you. That's also in the budget. So that is the size of the changes, just so everyone is aware.
That 10,000 again, since it wasn't in the microphone, was for zoning improvements.
What about the extra 50 for the parking lot? Was that in this one or?
There's actually, the change for Riches was about $170,000 less. The change for the general government is up 20,000. Down 200,000 at the bottom of page 4, I'm sorry. Plus 240,000 for the SCM&R, up 250,000 for the revenue. On the same page, page 5, $600 isn't much to talk about. Looks like there's 100,000 difference in the TIF fund.
Is that comparison between version 3 and version 5?
3 and 5,
Okay.
correct. And I just got 5 tonight, so I just had a few moments to write down quick notes, so that's why I'd like to keep it, so I have some time to look at it.
Very well.
Okay. It will be on first reading this evening, second reading at the next council meeting. Next is Village of Northfield Ordinance 2017-16, an emergency ordinance amending Chapter 1446 of the codified ordinances relating to rental certificates for rented single-family dwellings. This amendment, Mr. Walters and I discussed these issues last year. So basically, the amendment takes out the language as far as this ordinance went into effect July 1st, 2015, so that, I mean, it was passed in 2014. So it takes out the kind of initiation start date language because 2 years in, that's really not significant at this point and just created more confusion. So those are the changes on the first page of the amendment. The two significant changes are on page 2. If you look in paragraph H, the late fee, the application fee is $100. We are charging a $150 late fee on top of that, and we just felt that was a little difficult and unworkable when getting people to pay the late fee, and there were a lot of complaints and compliance issues and things like that, especially with getting people on board that didn't know they had to do this. So we thought if the fee is $50, there is a penalty, but it's not as significant as far as getting people to comply. And then subsection J, we talked about, when the one property owner was here last year, about giving people credit that if they don't have any violations on the first inspection, that they should get credit. So they would be relieved from getting the inspection on the next year. So their certificate would be good for 2 rental inspection years instead of 1. And they would have to file an application for the second year, so we know they're still in the program and still have tenants, but there wouldn't be any application fee and there wouldn't be any inspection requirement. And the reason 2 years was chosen because that is consistent with what we do for point of sale inspections. If the property gets a point of sale inspection, and they're exempt right now from the rental inspections for the year in which the point of sale inspection's done, and then the next year. So that way we're being consistent with those two properties. So that's where we're at with that. It's up to council as to what you would like to do. There's no, I mean, you can certainly go ahead and approve it tonight, but if you want to take more time to look at it and put it on first reading tonight, we're okay with that. The deadline for getting the applications in is before May 1st, so we're not in any
Brad,
urgency.
refresh my memory. Isn't this the same thing that we were trying to work out months and months ago?
Well, we never really did. I mean, there was one gentleman that came and said that he couldn't afford to pay a $100 fee and it wasn't fair, and he keeps up his property, and it, was an expensive burden for him. So we listened to him at that time. I think there was some discussion about doing something, but we decided at that time not to change anything because we were still kind of early in the program and still getting used to everything. So
Brad, I'd like to make a motion to skip the 3 reading rule since this is what I was on board for then.
okay, motion to suspend the 3 reading rule by Ms. Domzalski, seconded by Mr. Voitish. Any discussion regarding the 3 reading rule? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of suspending the 3 reading rule?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Okay, is there a motion for passage?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to pass by Ms. Domzalski, seconded by Mr. Voitish. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of passage?
Yes.
Yes. All opposed? Okay. Next is Village of Northfield Resolution 2017-17, an emergency resolution confirming the Mayor, Director of Public Safety's appointment of Erica Gregg as a full-time police officer. And, my recommendation is we move forward with this legislation today. Just so everyone knows, it wouldn't be effective until March 8th, 2017. So if this ordinance is adopted, she will be at the next meeting and we'll have the swearing in at that point.
Is this in the budget for this year or last year? Or can we approve this?
It's in the budget for this year.
It's in the budget, and Officer Jones retired, so she would essentially be replacing Officer Jones as a full-time
Okay.
officer. So
Gotcha.
we're not really at any higher staffing level.
Okay.
I'd like to,
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
second.
Motion by Mr. Magistrelli, seconded by Ms. Domzowski. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Is there a motion to pass?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Doherty to pass, seconded by Mr. Magistrelli. Any discussion?
Discussion at this point, please.
Yes.
The budget has not gone up from what I can see from the budget that we were received this evening.
It wouldn't work, same level of staffing, we had a person retire, we're bringing a person into the position that was vacated.
And the person coming in will be starting out at the initial full-time rate, not at the max rate. that
I would
Fred
think
was
the
receiving.
Medicare and things like that would be a little bit less for a single person than a married person, but
Right, and
I
that,
would think there'd be a
and again, that
difference.
shouldn't be a, it's not something we can consider anyway, so. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Yes.
All opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. Resolution, not the motion. Next is Village of Northfield Ordinance 2017-18, an emergency ordinance amending Chapter 1482 of the Building and Housing Code relating to residential exterior lighting. And if everyone should remember, that was around in 2014, this code provision was adopted to try to address some of these light issues. This amendment would remove the 1482.03 section, which, initially when we had the ordinance, this would require a warning from the police department and when they, or the building, or the zoning department when a first offense is noticed, and then a 10-day correction period, and then a citation if it's not corrected within 10 days. There have been issues where people have been warned, the light is moved and corrected, and then, moved back, and we're in this kind of 10-day conundrum. So we would remove that provision and allow the police department or the zoning department to cite immediately. I mean, practically, if it's the first time someone becomes aware, has this problem, naturally they're going to come out and point it out to the resident, allow them to correct the problem, but this would avoid people kind of manipulating the system to get around this issue. And it was brought up recently that there was an issue, and Ms. Nowak brought it to Lieutenant Mackey and my attention, and Lieutenant Mackey and I thought this was the best way to handle the situation. So,
Brad, question.
yes.
We're talking about floodlights, spotlights, we're not talking about like a pole light, porch
Well,
light.
it applies to anything. There shouldn't be any light trespass on someone else's property, and obviously, we're gonna look at it as, we don't wanna interfere with cars coming down the street, people on the sidewalk, or neighbors. If it's, the main issue is if it's shining into somebody else's house and causing a problem for the neighbor.
Okay,
just-
so a low lit porch light
No, that's
that
not
would
gonna
get
be,
bright as somebody comes up is not included in this?
no, that's not gonna
Okay.
bother. All right, I don't know what council's pleasure is this evening, Mr. Magistrate.
I would like to skip the 3 reading rule, please.
Okay. Motion to suspend the 3 reading rule by Ms. Nowak, seconded by Ms. Domzowski. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Is there a motion to pass?
Motion to pass, please.
Second?
Motion to pass by Ms. Nowak, seconded by Mr. Magistrelli. Any discussion? All in favor of passage?
Yes.
All opposed? Okay. Next is Village of Northfield Resolution 2017-19, authorizing Euthenix Inc. to complete the preliminary design phase for the Houghton Road reconstruction and Northfield Road traffic signals upgrading project. And is there a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule?
So moved.
Second?
Motion to suspend the 3 reading rule by Mr. Hips, seconded by Mr. Magistrelli. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Is there a motion to pass?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Hips to pass, seconded by Mr. Magistrelli. Any questions or
Question.
discussion? Yes.
Trish, again, this is okay in the budget? Yeah, okay.
As far as the design phase and engineering, this is in the 2017 project, the latest it is? Okay. Okay, all right, stand corrected.
The project wouldn't be till 2019 though.
Right, but this is so he can do the plans and,
Yes.
right, okay, right, that's what
I have one question. I have one in my packet and then there was one at my seat. Was there a change or did I just get an extra?
think you just got an extra. Okay. All right, all in favor of passage?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Okay, the resolution passes, and that is it for the legislation, Mayor.
Is there any old business, new business, or announcements? I have some old business. I have a statement regarding my request to confirm Sergeant Zolgis as the Northfield Village Police Chief. I am confused, disheartened, and discouraged with regard to lack of support of my proposed candidate to become the Village of Northfield's next police chief. I am disappointed that some cannot see the value in Sergeant Zolgis as an effective leader. It is my belief that Sergeant Zolgis has what the village needs to move the police department forward. I feel Sergeant Zolgis has the motivation, mindset, and management style that are exactly what the village needs to unite our police department. It saddens me that I have been put in a situation that I am not able to appoint a leader that I trust would be able to work with on a daily basis. However, every situation I have faced during my tenure as mayor has made me a better leader than I was the day before. Please know I will not let this situation affect me negatively because of the issues that have been brought before me regarding my decision. I will continue to work through these issues and not let our village suffer despite them. I will continue to do what I do best, and that is lead the village forward. I will take a negative and turn it into a positive. I will be creative, brainstorm, and come to a decision that will make the community proud. I ensure that my decisions will be looked upon by our community in a positive light. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything? Hearing none, adjournment?
I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn made by Ms.
Second.
Domzalski, seconded by Ms. Noack. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? We are adjourned at 7:53.
Thank you everyone for coming tonight. Really appreciate it.